So for this week, we learned about perception. Perception is basically how we receive and interpret information based on our environment. Perception definitely has a large role to play in the business environment as it is used to perceive multiple specific situations and individuals in a business place. That would be the coworkers and employees. With perception comes many factors, such as perceptual differences. Three perceptual differences we're going to be speaking about are the impression effect, the halo effect, and stereotypes. We're going to start off with stereotypes, which are basically beliefs that an individual has about characteristics of a specific group. Now, stereotypes is a very sensitive topic as it does involve race, gender, ethnicity, and sexual orientation and other different types of stereotypes that many individuals have different beliefs towards them. With stereotypes, this could lead to prejudice, which is basically a negative feeling that an individual has towards another one. So, for an example, a coworker having a negative feeling towards another individual that they don't believe in, depending on what the stereotype is, such as sexual orientation, gender, or anything else. And like I said, it is a very sensitive topic, which is why it's considered a perceptional difference, because it is something used that unfortunately has an effect on the way we perceive others. Now, another perceptual difference is the halo effect. The halo effect is basically how an individual judges others based on their first impressions, I guess you could say. An example I could give is when I first started my office job, my current office job. I was trained by a employee that has been there for 5 years at the practice. Automatically, my judgment towards them was very negative, just due to them having like attitude on busy days. But now that I've stepped in their shoes and done the work they're doing, I can see why they had negative attitude towards me. But I was basically perceiving them by the first impression they gave me, which was negative, which turned out for my perception of them to be negative. The third perceptual difference we're going to talk about is impression effect. This is basically us influencing the perception that we want others to see. A good example that I read was about how one influences the perception they want others to view of them from social media and then from Indeed. So on Indeed, which is a website used to look for jobs or get hired, you want to look very professional. You want to show that you are responsible and just be a higher version of yourself so you have a higher chance of getting employed. And then on social media, you would show more of yourself. You would be showing your outgoing side, what you do in your personal life and other things like that don't involve professionalism. So you're basically showing, for social media, you're showing a more outgoing side to show the impression of how outgoing, happy, or like what's going on with your life. And on Indeed, you're showing others to give an impression of how professional you are and responsible you are, so you have a higher chance of getting employed. Now, with these perceptual differences, they do have a huge role. They do play a part when it comes to making a perception regarding a new manager. Stereotypes, because I'm not saying I do, but usually some employees believe that for example, male managers are more aggressive or demanding than female managers. So stereotypes would definitely have an effect on others or make perceiving a manager. The impression effect would also have an effect on how we perceive a new manager, because in the workplace they would be professional, they would be demanding, they'll be, how a manager would act. But say you see them in a Publix or Walmart, you'll see them to walk up to you, be nice to you, talk to you, maybe even get a drink with you, because in the workplace they have to show a different impression than from the outside world. And then finally for the halo effect, say the manager is their first week by themselves and they're managing the workplace for the first time by themselves off training, and they're demanding multiple things, they're checking up on you, making sure you have the job tasks done. You automatically think that they're very bossy, you think that they're very demanding, and this would cause you to see them as very, like I said, bossy, demanding. You would think that they're doing too much. So you would have this impression of them just based on the actions that they are giving in the workplace. Another topic that was asked was how would we defend or save ourselves in a difficult work situation due to fundamental attribution error. First, we'll talk about attribution theory, which is basically two causes that are used and that have an effect on perception. Those two causes are individual and external attribution. Internal attribution is basically how we view someone based on characteristics. External attribution is how we perceive someone from a situation. So some ways we can save ourselves from, or save others, or help others due to fundamental attribution error is understand why. So for example, there's an example in the book about how an employee is late all the time or usually, and this would cause us to start creating some perceptions of them being lazy, being irresponsible. But some ways we can help with that is understand them. So find out if there's any work stress that they're having, any life away from work stress. So having their own life problems, such as, they have a kid, or they don't have transportation, or they help with things in the morning and it just causes them to be late. And then another thing we could also do is put ourselves in their shoes. So basically, seeing the situation from the eye of the individual. So for example, say I were the late one and I have my reasons of being late, and I tell you what the reason is. So you would see it, you would put yourself in my shoes and see, what you would do in that situation. Would you react the same way, coming late to work due to this and that, or would you do it another way? But those two ways would help with fundamental attribution error. The next thing we're going to talk about is positive reinforcement. So in the topic question, it was explained how praise is a form of positive reinforcement. Some other positive reinforcements that I can think of are letting employees train or show coworkers different skills, giving employees flexible tasks and letting them develop their work skills. And then finally, another one I can think of is hearing an employee's opinions and suggestions. So for the idea for letting an employee um, give suggestions and hear their opinions, this would make the employee feel important. It would make them feel like they are with the work team at this business, and make them feel like they are heard, that their voice matters, and that they are an important asset to the team, that they bring something to the team. And this would also have a boost on creativity. For individuals that are given flexible tasks and given a chance to develop their skills, this would give them a sense of satisfaction. This would make them help them. This would make them think that they are doing something right, and that they are being given the chance to do more because they are already doing good at what they do. This would help develop self-efficacy and just make the employee feel important, and that they are being seen, and that their work does matter because they're going up more. And the third positive reinforcement I'm going to be going over is basically letting employees show coworkers or new employees skills, or to sum it up, basically train. So for this, the individual will give them a sense of satisfaction, will give them a sense of that they're doing something right because they were chosen to show somebody else how to do the job task. So this will make them feel seen and that they are important and that they're doing good at their job, which would also boost self-efficacy. Now, the positive reinforcement that I think would best benefit a workplace would definitely be the when employees are given the chance to give their opinions, suggestions. So the positive reinforcement that I think would have a big impact on a business environment is between two. It would have to be between employees given a chance to improve their skills and being given flexible tasks, and when employees are given the chance to give their opinions and suggestions. One, because for the opinions and suggestions, it would boost self-efficacy, boost creativity, and just make the employee feel like they are an important part of the team. And then for the one about positive reinforcement about employees being given more opportunities and flexible tasks, they would just make this would make them feel important, like they are doing their job right, and make them want to work better and harder at their job so they can keep improving and keep going up in a company. And for the final topic question given, the scenario is about how they're in the workplace, managers are playing favorites, are encouraging employees to tell on other employees when there is a mistake being done, and demand when there's demand tasks to employees. Alright, so based on Mendora's social cognitive theory, for this specific scenario, it would basically make individuals think that through mistakes, they are able to change their actions and the forms they work and develop. So if a new employee were to join this culture of a workplace, they can learn from the errors being made from other individuals, create their own structure of how they want to work, of their own methods of how they want to work, and just get the job task done the way managers want it done and develop their job skills so they won't have to make mistakes either.